Hey, welcome to Eastern Parkway in Brooklyn, New York. Believe it or not, this is the world's first parkway and a pretty scenic route. Come on, I'll show you on this walk with me. Alrighty, so I just put my mask back on, so I hope I don't sound too muffled. And there is a lot of traffic right now, so I hope you can hear me properly. But let's start off by situating ourselves. So Eastern Parkway is about a 4-mile long roadway stretching from Bushwick Avenue all the way to Grand Army Plaza at the entrance of Prospect Park. Originally, Eastern Parkway was only supposed to be about 2.5 miles long, starting at Ralph Avenue, where we're coming from right now, and then ending at Grand Army Plaza, when Calvert Vaux and Frederick Law Olmsted designed in Eastern Parkway in the 1870s. What they envisioned, ooh, the sun is really bright, so I don't know if you can see now, but what they envisioned was this beautiful greenway leading to their gem of a park, Prospect Park. So they wanted to create this beautiful green drive for people coming from Long Island and leading them east all the way to Prospect Park. So back in the 1870s, what you would see on these streets would be, I guess, horses and buggies. Later, the primitive version of cars. But today, there's a lot of traffic. That's the first thing you notice when you're coming down Eastern Parkway. The second thing you notice, hopefully, are these beautiful trees. Look at them. They line both sides of the avenue. Well, Parkway, rather. And now it's our light, so we're gonna start to cross so we can see more of them. So yeah, it's very much pedestrian versus car when you go through the intersections at Eastern Parkway. But for the most part, this is a very pleasant walk and ride. You also have bike lanes, as you can see those cyclists over there. So let me tell you more about the trees, since that is what we're going to see for the majority of our walk, rather. So originally, Vaux and Olmsted had over 1,000 trees planted here, and they were all American elm trees. So everything was pretty uniform. Then they realized, all American elm trees, not a great idea, because having all these trees of the same species, especially elm, made them susceptible to Dutch elm disease. So they realized there is some value in diversity, and they planted maples, they planted lindens, and oak trees. So if you look closely, or if you are an arborist and you know more about trees, you can see that diversity here today. So this is Utica Avenue, the intersection of Utica Avenue and Eastern Parkway. And I wanted to point this out to you because this is a commercial hub at Eastern Parkway. And you don't find those very frequently along Eastern Parkway. The way that Vaux and Olmsted intended it was for it to be pretty residential, pretty quiet. And that's how it is for most of the walk, but every maybe like 2 or 3 intersections are pretty busy. None of them are as busy as this one, because Utica Avenue is a pretty busy intersection, and then this leads to other commercial areas of Brooklyn. Alright, I think it's our light, so I'm just gonna cross over and tell you more about why this intersection is so special. So here at Utica Avenue, you have a lot of commercial activity, and as you can hear, there is a strong Caribbean vibe in the area. So this is like that because it is actually one of the centers of Caribbean life in Brooklyn and New York overall. But originally, this area, while it still is residential, originally the types of residents that they had in mind were what they call the professional class and their families. So in the 1870s up until like the 1920s, the people that lived around here were like doctors, lawyers. There were so many doctors that they actually nicknamed this area Doctors Row. But all that changed in the 1920s with the subway extending to this area. So you see that Utica Avenue station right there? Because of that station, it allowed Jews from the Lower East Side to come into this area of Brooklyn, and it allowed Black people to come into this area as well. And that is the main population that you have at Eastern Parkway right now and in the Crown Heights area overall. So it's a mix of Jewish people, Black people, and of course gentrifiers, because this is Brooklyn in the 21st century. So it's kind of hard to picture now with all this traffic, but every year, Eastern Parkway, being the center of Caribbean life, one of the centers of Caribbean life in Brooklyn, is host to the West Indian Day Parade every Labor Day. So picture this, imagine all of these cars gone, and in its place you have a big colorful floats with people in gorgeous costumes with feathers and all sorts of explosions of color and Caribbean food and Caribbean music, everything Caribbean, all down Eastern Parkway for one day. About 3 million people attend this event on average. So imagine all these people, all these colors, all this music. It is a great time, and unfortunately it's not happening this year because of the coronavirus. But we can still picture it. We can still pretend. You heard that soca music? Yeah, let's put on some soca music and pretend that we're walking through the parade. Just making a video about Eastern Parkway. Not yet. It's not this year. Yeah, so I'm filming this during rush hour, so look at all this traffic. This is why. So Eastern Parkway leads to the Jackie Robinson Parkway, and that allows you to go to Queens and other areas of New York City. So you can see why this is so heavily used. It's actually one of the busiest roadways in all of New York City. It's funny because it's also a pretty peaceful road to walk down on, because you have these beautiful greenways. Parkway is also a Jewish community as well as a Caribbean community, and we're going to see a lot of evidence of that coming up. This is kind of hard to see through all of these trees. Might be easier to see in the wintertime, but this in front of us is a temple, a Jewish temple. And since this is a Friday evening, we're probably going to see a lot of Jewish people out and about right now heading to temple. Or at least getting ready to, because it's not quite sundown yet. There's one thing I want to point out, not the skinny tree, but what is below the skinny tree. This is a placard that, there are many of them that are planted along Eastern Parkway, but these placards are mostly dedicated to soldiers that died in World War I. So it says this, if you can't really see it, it says this tree is dedicated to the memory of Sergeant Frederick Stenson. It says what infantry was in, who died in the World War 1914 to 1918. Yeah, so at the time they did not know there was going to be a sequel to that war. So there are a whole bunch of these that are planted into the ground at the base of several trees. You'll see a lot more of them as we head towards Prospect Park. Another thing I want to point out while we're here is the Jewish Children's Museum right there. That is one of the sites that you can see while you're walking along Eastern Parkway. So across the street over here, this is the World Shabbat Lubavitch. I think I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but this is the world headquarters right here, which is pretty cool. It's a beautiful building. I am in the bike lane. I'm just gonna walk over here. So if you wanted to take an extended tour with me, I would go into the history of Crown Heights and how having two different groups live side by side hasn't always been the easiest thing, especially in the 70s and the 80s. So we talk about the Jewish-Black relations in Crown Heights. Let me know if you want to hear more about that. So you can see a lot of people use Eastern Parkway for bike riding, for jogging, for exercising. It's a pretty nice place to come and relax. There's some benches that you can just sit down, watch the cars go by, watch time pass away. It's a nice place to be. And I do hope that you, the viewer, come and do this walk one day. It doesn't have to be with me. I would love that. I would love to show you around. But come and see for yourself. That pretty structure, Kings County Savings Bank. This has been here since 1930, and now it's a popular bank. At least that building's being reused, unlike the building that we are coming up to now. This Philadelphia Sabbath Cathedral, I think that's what it says, used to be a theater, and then it used to be a church, and now it's just empty. You can see it's still really pretty with all those colors. I wish they'd do something with it. So, of course, the sun is right in the way of this beautiful landmark that I want to show you. One of the most important things you can see when you're walking along Eastern Parkway. It's kind of hard to see with the sun blocking, but this is the Brooklyn Museum, the second largest museum in, I would say, the second largest art museum in the city, I believe. I could be wrong, don't quote me on that. But it is an excellent institution. It is a requirement for everyone to see when you're in Brooklyn. And this is one of my favorite sculptures in the city. One side says yo, well, it says oi, and then the other side says yo. So you pick which side defines you most. I think I'm more of a yo person, but I definitely say oi sometimes. Alright, so say bye to the Brooklyn Museum. Hopefully it opens up again soon. And we are gonna walk over to our next beautiful Eastern Parkway destination. This is our third Eastern Parkway destination. It is the Brooklyn Botanical Garden. This is their Eastern Parkway entrance, and it has reopened, but you have to buy your tickets in advance, and they're only letting in a certain amount of people at a time, but still a pretty good crowd. It's a lovely place to check out, so if you have a chance, definitely come see this place. So this park right here is Mount Prospect Park. Not the actual Prospect Park, but Mount Prospect Park. That mount in the beginning is very important. So this is actually the second, this park here has the second highest natural hill in all of Brooklyn. It's about 200 feet tall, if I'm not mistaken. The tallest natural point in Brooklyn is Battle Hill at Greenwood Cemetery. But yeah, look at all this greenery. What a beautiful precursor to Prospect Park. We are almost there, guys. This is the home stretch. Just a couple more blocks to go, not even that. But I hope you're having a great time. Hope you're enjoying seeing this slice of Brooklyn with me. And you haven't been doing all the hard work. I have been walking for over 2 miles now. But it's fine, I need the exercise anyway. I think traffic has been a major theme of this walk today. Tranquility and traffic. I don't know if you can see a little better now, but this is the central branch of the Brooklyn Public Library. One of my most favorite places in New York City. Y'all, it is lovely here. I love this place so much. And I think 50% of that love comes from the facade. Look at that. That is gorgeous. It's meant to look like an open book. I think it definitely achieves that look. Definitely come see this place if you have the chance. Oh, and now we are gonna walk into a crowd of people so we can see our final big thing to see before you reach Prospect Park. This is actually, I'm actually showing you Prospect Park, sorry. This is it. This is Grand Army Plaza. This is the Soldiers and Sailors Arch, commemorating the Civil War. If you get up close, you can't really see it from the video, but there is a statue of Abe Lincoln and a general from the Civil War, probably General Grant. And then you see there's a Roman or Greek goddess leading these soldiers and these sailors as they battle for the Union. And now we're gonna wait to cross the street like everybody else. Wow, there's a lot of activity going on here this evening. But this shouldn't be surprising. This is a hub in Brooklyn. Lots of activity going on here usually, especially in the summertime. There's a whole band here, guys. You gotta love this city, guys. Alright, so as the sun sets and we conclude our walk, we are now at Prospect Park, guys. Thank you so much for taking this walk with me down Eastern Parkway. This is a great place, guys. I hope you can walk it for yourself one day. If you want me to guide you around Eastern Parkway, reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook. You know how to reach people these days. I hope you had a good time. I hope you learned a lot. I'm going to listen to this band.